Hi everyone. So today we are going to learn about ecosystem, which is Science Form 2 Chapter 2. Okay, so don't forget your pen, pencil and notebook. So for subtopic 2.1, energy flow in an ecosystem. Okay, source of energy in all ecosystem originate from sun. The green plant convert light energy from the sun to chemical energy through the process photosynthesis, which is green plant undergo photosynthesis and it will convert the light energy from the sun to chemical energy. In ecosystem, organisms can be classified as producer, consumers and decomposers. So who is the producer, who is the consumer and who is the decomposer? Okay, let me explain one by one. So for the producer, a producer is an organism that produces its own food through photosynthesis. Most plants are producers, so every single green plant is a producer. Okay, green plant make their own food because they contain chlorophyll, so it can make their own food through process photosynthesis. So green plant is a producer. So the primary consumer, a consumer is an organism that eats another organism. Primary consumers are herbivores and omnivores that eat producer. For example, caterpillars, grasshopper and snail. So primary consumer will eat the producer. So the secondary consumer, a secondary consumer is an omnivore and carnivore that eats the primary consumer. Example, chicken, rat and frog. So the secondary consumer will eat the primary consumer. So the tertiary consumer. A tertiary consumer is a secondary carnivore that eats a secondary consumer. The size of the tertiary consumer is usually bigger than primary and secondary consumer. Example, eagle, snake and owl. So the tertiary consumer will eat secondary consumer. The secondary consumer will eat primary consumer and the primary consumer will eat the producer. Okay, but sometimes tertiary consumer also can eat the primary consumer. So next is food chain. Let me explain about the food chain in the ecosystem. So producer is eat by the primary consumer. Primary consumer is eat by the secondary consumer. The secondary consumer will eat by the tertiary consumer. For example, cabbage, the green plant will act as producer, will eat by the caterpillar, and the caterpillar will eat by the chicken, and the chicken will eat by the snake. So another example, in paddy area, paddy is a green plant, will act as producer. So the rat will eat the paddy, the snake will eat the rat, and the eagle as the tertiary consumer will eat the snake. So after we learn about the food chain, we will learn about the food web. What is food web? Food web is the interconnection of a few food chain is called a food web, which is combination of food chain will develop a food web. For example, cabbage as the producer will eat by the primary consumer, which is caterpillar, snail and grasshopper. So the primary consumer will eat by secondary consumer, which is bird and frog, and the tertiary consumer will eat the secondary consumer, which is bird and frog. So the tertiary consumer is a snake. Yes, so combination of food chain will develop a food web. So this is another example of food web, which is berries and plantain is a green plant which is act as producer, and the grasshopper will be the primary consumer. The grasshopper eat both plant, which is berry and plantain. Okay, titmouse also the primary consumer. So it will eat by the snake as the secondary consumer. So let's move to the next subtopic, which is 2.2, nutrient cycle in ecosystem. So we will learn several cycles that occur in ecosystem, which is first is water cycle. Water is always moving and changing. It change its form and location, which is form we have ice, snow, liquid and water vapor. So water is used by plants, animals, human, but it always goes back to nature. So there is 4 key points in water cycle that you have to remember. First is precipitation, second is runoff, third is evaporation, and fourth is condensation. So what is precipitation? Any form of water, whether liquid or solid, that fall from the cloud and reach the ground. Okay, that is precipitation process. So look at the diagram, which is the precipitation is water fall as rain to the ground, whether upper ground or lower ground. So runoff. Runoff is the movement of surface water down slope. Normally, the runoff will occur at the high area, which is the water will run off to the lower land, to lower area. So, water from the mountain will run off to the ocean, pond and river, which is from upper land to lower land. So next is evaporation. Evaporation is the process by which water is changed into water vapor. Water can evaporate from any moist surface, but only 84% of water vapor in the atmosphere come from the ocean. So evaporation is the process where water change to gas or water vapor. So water from the ocean, from the river will evaporate to the atmosphere and become water vapor or gas. So next is condensation. Condensation is the changing of water vapor into droplet of liquid water in the form dew, fog or cloud. So condensation is the process where water vapor or gas change to droplet of liquid water in the cloud. So after condensation happen, the precipitation will happen back. So this is what we call water cycle, from precipitation to runoff, evaporation and condensation. So next is carbon and oxygen cycle. So carbon means carbon dioxide and oxygen means oxygen gas. So 1 and 2. Plant and animals carry out respiration, which use oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Plant and animal use oxygen for respiration. So they will absorb the oxygen for respiration and release the carbon dioxide. Okay, so next, decomposers such as bacteria and fungus also use oxygen for decomposition process. Okay, they use oxygen for decomposition process and the decomposer will release the carbon dioxide. But the green plant use carbon dioxide for photosynthesis process. So green plant will absorb carbon dioxide for photosynthesis and release back the oxygen. So basically, this is the cycle where oxygen and carbon dioxide gases exchange, which is for respiration, animal and plants use oxygen and release carbon dioxide, and plant use carbon dioxide for photosynthesis and release back the oxygen. Same goes to decomposer. They use oxygen for decomposition process and release back the carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Okay, so it is quite simple. Just gases exchange from oxygen to carbon dioxide to oxygen. Okay, this cycle is quite easy because it just happen in our daily life. Okay. So next is step to solve problems where there is an interference to the nutrient cycle. So human activity can disrupt the nutrient cycle. So the example of illegal activity that happen nowadays in our country and in the world is unrestricted logging, burning of fossil fuel, overconsumption of water resource. So all these three can disrupt the nutrient cycle, which is water cycle, oxygen cycle, and carbon dioxide cycle. So we also have the step to solve the problem, which is we as the resident and the government should take a part to save our ecosystem. First, create planned agricultural system. We can use public transport, store rainwater for daily use, replant tree or deforestation, and the government should tighten the laws. Okay, so I will stop here. For subtopic 2.3 and 2.4, you can check out my next video. Okay, so see you when I see you. I hope you understand my video, my explanation. If you have any comment or any opinion, you can drop at the comment section. Okay guys, see you when I see you. Study smart. Take care. Bye.